Welcome to the Sovereign Reality Podcast, a space for women done playing small. I'm Natalie, your metaphysical guide and keeper of the flame. Each week, we channel the power of a different goddess, her myth, her message, her medicine, so you can rise, reclaim, and remember who the hell you are. The world doesn't need you quiet, babe. It needs you lit up. So let's rise. Welcome to the first episode of the Sovereign Reality Podcast, a space where we honor the divine feminine within each of us, where ancient goddess energy meets the modern woman's life. I'm Natalie, your guide, a metaphysical minister, a healer, a fellow traveler on this journey back to sovereignty. When I first dreamed up this podcast, it was going to be all about the law of assumption and how each of us can tap into our creative power as divine beings. But then life had other plans. After the last election, I had what you might call a major crash out, okay? When I saw how deeply women's rights and the sacred feminine energy were going to be challenged even further, I felt something shift inside of me. A sacred rage, a fierce awakening. In that, I also felt this sense of powerlessness. And I pulled back. I deleted my Instagram page. I unpublished my book, Girl, You're a Queen. It will be out later again. I'll let you know when. But I did all of that with this fear. It all came from fear. It all stemmed from this witch wound of, they're coming for me. I'm next. Because they don't want people in society who are thinking for themselves and understanding the matrix or living in ways that feels conducive to what they want, right? Their passions, their purpose, their, you name it, especially women. They want people who obey and fall in line and do what they're told. And, you know, I get like, yes, of course, be a law-abiding citizen. But it worries me if we are foregoing what our souls are here to do in favor of. That is a sense of betrayal, and that is a soul betrayal. So in my process, through my rage, through my screaming into a pillow and crying and being upset, I also discovered a deeper calling. And it was to be the voice for her. I kept seeing these videos on TikTok, right? More things happening to women's rights, the way the patriarchy refers to women, how they view women. And as much as I just wanted to stay quiet, because the quieter I am, then the less noise I make and the better off, right? But there was just something that came over me one night, and I just felt it in my bones that it was time for me to speak, and it was time for me to be the vessel for her story. And in that, to help whomever wants to hear it, whomever needs this information, to tap into their own goddess energy and the goddess within all of us. Because her stories have been buried and her power has been hidden, and I imagine in many ways you feel like yours has too. But just like her, there is still an energy pulsing beneath the surface. So the biggest thing I want to be clear on, this is my one and only intention with this podcast, aside from assisting you, of course. And that is in the recognition that this podcast is not about me. It is first and foremost about helping you reconnect with that fierce, radiant, sovereign energy that is rightly and divinely yours. Maybe you have felt it before, and maybe it's been buried under years of conditioning or societal expectations, or maybe you never even knew that it existed. So wherever you are, I invite you to come with curiosity and with a sense of readiness to reclaim. Why does this matter now? Because for centuries, stories of goddess energy, feminine wisdom, and sacred power have been buried, twisted, or silenced. And the ripple effect is still felt today. Many of us carry a disconnect from our intuition, our creativity, our inner authority, and that's what we're here to awaken. So I do talk a lot about this story in my book, Girl, You're a Queen. But there was a time in my life where I doubted my own power, thinking that feeling too deeply or being emotional or being quote unquote too feminine made me less capable or less powerful in the world. Like I had to tone down my energy or dim my light and fit into a box that I was never going to fit in to begin with, but also that just wasn't mine. It was never mine to fit into. The role that I was forced to play, which many of you might be familiar with as well, or maybe you can relate, was, wife, mother, and you marry, the man takes care of the money. Like that was kind of the subtle message I received growing up. Now, I'm not saying it was correct or incorrect, and if that is your story, then, and you're happy, that's the biggest thing. If you're happy, that's wonderful. Like, I'm not telling you not to do these things. But I will say, for someone like me who had no clue who she was and no sense of purpose, no sense of direction, truly my identity was wrapped up in a man for the longest time. And it took me a long time to break out of that conditioning, and it took me a long time to get in touch with this part of me. And it has been a journey, y'all. It has been a journey. Now, I want to be very clear that I absolutely love my child. I love my child more than my own life. Okay. That said, I was only ever going to be such a good mom. Like, I don't know how else to word this, but because I didn't know who I was, and because I was so codependent, and because enmeshment was the theme of my relationships, I was on my way to creating a really unhealthy dynamic with my child as well, because attachment wounds were something I had to work through, and I didn't know I had to work through them until later. And mine and my child's journey has been an interesting one, and I can talk about that in later episodes. But, ultimately, I was only going to be so good of a mom. And I feel like now that I've been able to get in touch with this part of me where I don't feel so small and disconnected and unfulfilled anymore, she gets to see a version of her mom that is fulfilled, that has passions, that has a life that she loves. Like I truly love my life, and I want that for them. I want my child to know that their passions, what their soul wants, is so important to me. Your soul is so unbelievably sacred, because your soul is what is inhabiting this body that you call your human self, with your name and your identity and your role and all of these things. But it is not you. You are so much bigger than that. Your soul is timeless, and it's here temporarily experiencing life as you. And I want my child, who is here temporarily experiencing themselves as my child, to have the very, 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 very best in life. And I'm not saying you can't have the very, very, very best in life being married and having children, not at all. But I am saying that if you are betraying yourself in favor of what society wants, what your parents want, what your whatever wants, and you're not listening to what your soul wants or needs, that's where I have an issue. And so, coming back to this goddess energy, right? I say this because we all have this feminine energy inside of us. Every single person, man, woman, child, doesn't matter. We all have masculine energy, we all have feminine energy, and sometimes you vibe more with one energy over the other. For most of my life, I vibed more with masculine energy. And I was very go get it, do the thing, take the bull by the horns and go. Like, that was me. And I still tap into that energy, by the way. It's not gone. But I also am in a place now where I'm softer, and there is so much power in that. And it's really fascinating, and it's fascinating to watch the world around us and this country in general, in America anyway. I don't know what it's like in every country, but in America right now, and the suppression of her, and I think about Earth, Mother Earth, and what the patriarchy has done to her in its brutality, and it's like basically pillaging her. And I want to say the R word here, her, like kind of that's just take, with very little being given back. And I can be as mad as I can be for as long as I can be it, but I can also use that anger in a positive way for her. And so here I am. Anyway, over the coming episodes, we are going to explore the stories of many goddesses from different traditions, who they were, how patriarchy tried to silence them, and what their energy means for us today. And with every episode, I'll offer you simple, accessible rituals that you can do, because I know life is busy. Even just a few intentional breaths, a short journaling prompt, or lighting a candle with purpose can really start to shift your energy. And it is subtle at first. The goddess, she's subtle, but she's fierce. And you'll uncover more and more the more you do tiny little things, right? Micro habits become macro realizations. So let's do a little guided reflection together. If you can, if you're driving, obviously, please don't do this right now, but maybe come back to it later. But I invite you to close your eyes and place a hand on your heart. And take a deep, slow breath. Imagine a light in your chest, warm, golden, radiant. This light has always been yours, but maybe it's been dimmed. With every inhale, feel it grow brighter. With every exhale, release any doubt, fear, or restriction. This is your true self. This is your sovereign energy. It's always been here. Let's take another deep breath and whisper quietly or in your mind, I am sovereign. I am radiant. I reclaim my power. Feel free to open your eyes whenever you're ready. And if you're ready to step into your sovereign reality, to bring forth the goddess energy that's always been inside of you, then this is your space. Before we close, I want to give you a little glimpse of what's next. In our next episode, we'll meet our first goddess, Isis, the Egyptian queen of magic and motherhood. We'll dive into her story, see how her energy was buried, and I'll guide you through a simple ritual to bring a little of her magic into your daily life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for her. I can't wait to share this journey with you. Let's walk this path together. Namaste. That's your divine download for the week. If this episode lit your fire, share it, leave a review, and subscribe so the flame keeps burning bright. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Sovereign with Natalie for more sacred rebellion. Remember, you are the storm. You are sovereign. Stay wild, stay sacred, and keep rising.